the city of Richmond. Now, I could be wrong, but is there a difference in the police training?
There's a lot more people going into the police department now with associate degrees in criminal justice and so forth. They like to get, if you don't have military service on police departments, they like to get somebody that has some college. And not necessarily a 4-year degree, but they like to see a 2-year degree. But they love to get guys who are in military service, men and women, and particularly Marines.
Now, I want to switch gears, Professor Goodman, and you did have a background in bankruptcies. What is the difference between a Chapter 7 versus a Chapter 13?
Chapter 7 is if you're going to discharge all your debts. And you file that to get full discharge of your debts. You can't discharge debts that are secured. So if you are buying a house, you wouldn't be able to discharge that debt, but you reaffirm the debt and you can keep the house. If you'd fallen behind on payments, the payments could be taken care of. If you file a 13, then you have to be paying back at least part of your debts. And you have money, a payment you make to a bankruptcy trustee every month. And they take that and distribute it among the creditors. And the creditors will get different priorities on when they get paid and what percentage they'll get paid and so forth. But, the creditors will get something on a 13.
So traditionally, when persons file bankruptcy, what is the, how long is the process and a roundabout cost for that? And then the other question is, how long does that stay on one's record?
A bankruptcy stays on your credit record, I believe, 10 years.
That's either or 7 or 12 or 13, either one?
10 years from final discharge. And on a 13, the discharge would be later because you might be in a plan that would last for 5 years.
Okay.
That's what they call the payoff.
And now, one of your favorite areas, Pat, that you have really excelled in, title. Why? I've met you when I was when I was working at New Directions Mortgage Company. Actually, I owned the company. It was one of the founders. I had me, my dad, and my brother that were founders of New Directions Mortgage Company. You did an incredible job. I met you. You was doing title work, and that is a great job. And I know it requires a great deal of expertise for an attorney to be able to review title work and make sure there are clean titles there. When would a person bring on board a title attorney?
Well, if there's a problem in the title, if somebody's having a problem with the title of their house and they had title insurance, then they could be represented by the title insurance company, depending on what the problem is. What was the question?
Well, you answered it now, because my next question would be because some people are buying foreclosed houses or buying houses from other people, and they might purchase that house with a quitclaim deed. Now, you and I, what is a quitclaim deed, and how secure is that title on a quitclaim deed?
The quitclaim deed is, it's a transfer of property. You can quitclaim property. The problem is that you're not going to be able to borrow money on a quitclaim deed. If that's the only title to the property, they'd want something a little more definitive on it. If it created a defect in the title, then you would have to have a quiet title action in the circuit court in the jurisdiction where the property is located.
So let me ask you this question, because we started out with talking about criminal. And then we went into talking about bankruptcy, and now we're talking about real estate. And so these are 3 different areas of law. And you also mentioned that you do some domestic stuff, juvenile, divorce. And so you have a wide training in terms of being a lawyer.
Yeah, I guess as it's turned out over the years, I think it's fortunate that I've gotten experience in a lot of different areas. So that whereas I wouldn't actually do a bankruptcy case now, it's been a long time since I've done them, and I haven't kept up with the changes in the law. But it's handy to know a lot of different things, and I just fell into that, representing just your ordinary everyday people, and I do things that ordinary everyday people have problems with.
What is so, Pat? You do have a diversity of experience. You're well trained in many areas. What type of clients, audience? How would they get in contact you? And what type of law do you really enjoy practicing?
I really enjoy criminal law. I like domestic relations too, and that's what I really enjoy. Although lately I've done a few civil cases that I really got into that had some interesting issues on them, and it's interesting. I don't do a lot of civil litigation, and I try to keep it to things where the issues are fairly simple.
So what is it about criminal law, like of all of these, like what about criminal law that you said this is the one you like?
Because the stakes in the case. The stakes are almost always in a criminal case or your client's freedom. And that really hits home with me. That really motivates me.
One thing I have noticed, Professor Goodman, about Patrick Kilbrew is that he has a passion for people. He truly has a passion. Whether if he's doing a title search, he's doing it because he knows that he can do it correctly. When that person gets that title, they know that their house is going to be free and clear. And very similar to the criminal case, he truly wants his client to be free, and there's a passion there. And callers, you see, we had Mr. Patrick Kilbrew's number on the screen. If you want to contact him in his private practice, your phone number is
804-330-2926.
Fantastic. And you do enjoy criminal cases. Now tell me, when it comes to civil law, and Professor Goodman, this is so important because there are times when we want to be able to protect ourselves, or we have to actually fight for what we know is right. And sometimes that means that I'm going to be suing a person. And in Seeds of Wealth and Wellness, many of us own businesses. And there are times when, and sometimes it's not even if, it's when. When are we going to get sued? What is the best way for a client to approach you when it comes to wanting you to handle their civil litigation?
To get all the facts together that are relevant to the case. But the main thing is talk to me, and in the interview we'll try to cover all the bases we need to cover, and I would make my client aware of what needs to be furnished to me in order for me to do my job. And we discuss basically my strategy of the case, what the law provides for, and form a plan for how we're going to handle the case.
Because there are many times when there are several ways to handle a civil case. One, I say, well, look here, Patrick, here go X amount of dollars, and I want you to be able to take care of this case. But there are also times when an attorney will say, hey, I want a percentage of this, And what is normally the transition or the process that takes place? The attorney says, okay, I'll take this case, and I'll take 25, 35, or whatever percentage. How does that work, Patrick?
Yeah, I take some of my civil cases, I take it that way on a contingency. And generally speaking, it works out all right. We can work things. One thing that I always need the client to be aware of is the client has to be responsible for the cost of litigation. For instance, they recently increased the jurisdictional limit of the district courts to $25,000. And it had been, I believe, $5,000. It's been a couple of years since it was changed, but it is fairly recent. And they've gone up to $25,000 on that. And that's a sizable case. And the filing fee in district court is only $58, including service on one defendant. So, the cost of litigation's cheap. They don't have all the rules in district court that they have about discovery and so forth in circuit court. The procedure in circuit court's a lot more complicated. District court is very simple. One thing though, if they're over 5,000 and less than 25, it's at one point the defendant can ask that the case be heard in circuit court, but that rarely happens.
Professor Goodman, have you ever been in a position where you felt like you wanted to sue somebody?
Actually, no. No, I mean, I haven't really. I mean, I've had people to violate my, trust or do some character defamation stuff, but I tend to I don't hold on to stuff. Like I just, in the heat of the moment, I may be angry about something, but I just move on. Like I just think that the best thing to do is, one, you're going to tie your life up in court. For what reason? It's like it's just, I don't have the time. Like I just think I could be doing something different with my time than trying to sue somebody.
And I'm asking that question. And I'm asking that question, Patrick, because many of the civil litigations that I have seen traditionally came by way of a person getting in an automotive accident, a train wreck, or a bus wreck. How common are those?
Oh, yeah.
They're common enough. You hear about them on the news all the time. But there's civil lawsuits for a lot of different things. There's basically two basic theories in civil cases. It's either a breach of contract or it's a tort.
Oh, okay.
And so a tort, personal injury, those are torts. Mm-hmm. And
how do you spell that word, tort?
Tort, T-O-R-T.
Okay.
And it's defamation is a tort.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you said, what is the other kind of civil litigation? Now, you said a tort, and the other one is?
Contract.
Let me ask this question. Statutes of limitations there are certain crimes that have a statute of limitation on. So, for example, let's use this for an example. Someone is accused of taking, money from someone. And let's say this happened 2 years ago or something. Now the person that happened to, so the person now wants to bring charges against that person. Like, what's the statute of limitation on something like this?
Criminal charges need to be brought within a year.
Within a year of the incident?
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's a murder case. Now, is there just something different with murder?
Well, with all felonies, there's no statute of limitations. If they were taking something, that would be something under $200.
Okay.
And that would be
But let's say
a
it's over
misdemeanor.
that. Let's say it's over. It's a substance. So anything under 200 is a misdemeanor, and anything over that is a felony.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Okay, and so there's a statute of limitation. You're saying with
on misdemeanors, but not on felonies.
Oh, there is no. Okay,
No.
Really? Wow, that's interesting.
Now, so the next question would be then, how do you identify the value and also the legitimacy of the case? I mean, because one thing, wanting to sue somebody or wanting to charge somebody with a felony, but how do we determine the validity of the charge?
Well, determining the validity it's only one step of the process. Before to consider taking a case, there would need to be some validity to it. There would need to be damages too. You have to have damages in a civil case, and clients that have come to me before and wanted to file civil suits for the principle of it. And, I tell them I don't work for the principal, and I never take those cases on a contingency.
Well, they want to get on Judge Mathis, maybe. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, I can understand that. I've been upset enough by people but I'm like you. I'll let things go before I reach that point.
And there's a seed, when we talk about seeds of wealth and wellness, it's like, like these, talking about, crimes, when we go back to Nelson Mandela, who was, wrongly accused for 27 years, the seed that was planted in some people, his family members, other persons that live there, persons here, and we bring it up to today. So, people that in our own personal lives who may have been accused, spent some time, incarcerated. It is so important to be able to get to a place of forgiveness. That's a seed of wealth and wellness. It's to get to a place where you can let that go. And I know for a lot of people, they say that's hard to do. I don't know that it's hard. I think it's different to do. You know, anything that we say is hard to do, we're not going to do it. But if I see it as, you know, this is doable, you know, and recognizing that